Recognizing God.
Exactly.
Our goal here is to really unpack the core ideas, maybe find some surprising connections that give us a fresh look at understanding ourselves, our purpose, and, well, our connection to the divine.
And I think you'll find it's not just theology, it touches on really universal human stuff.
Like what?
Well, like our basic motivations or even the subtle ways we might sabotage our own spiritual path without realizing it.
Ah, okay.
We'll explore how knowing yourself is like fundamentally tied to knowing a higher power.
And how that understanding can actually change things day to day.
Obviously, how it impacts your life.
Okay, so where should we start? Maybe with something familiar like religious practices.
Good idea. The source talks about things like daily prayers, namas, and fasting, rosa.
Right, things many people do. Are they just rituals? Or is there more going on?
Well, the lecture argues they're much more. They're described as a kind of constant memory refresh about Allah.
A memory refresh, like a daily reminder.
Yeah, renewal of your commitment, your servitude. And it contrasts this sharply with worldly systems.
Like democracy, socialism.
That's exactly. The point made is that no human system ever fully satisfies its people. There are always issues.
Like the example given, excessive taxation or just general discontent.
Right. So if those systems fall short, what does real commitment look like?
And the answer isn't the institution itself.
No. It's commitment to that higher, noble purpose that sits above any system.
That really reframes things. And there's that anecdote, isn't there, about eating pork?
Oh, yeah, that's powerful. Someone asks if it's okay out of necessity abroad somewhere.
And the answer isn't a straight yes or no.
No, it pivots to the person's inner state. Their mental commitment, their love for Allah. That's what really matters, even when no one's watching.
So the external rule isn't the point, it's the internal connect.
That is the core insight here.
Yeah.
The real purpose isn't just ticking boxes, following rules.
It's about seeking God's closeness.
Seeking his love, integrating him so deeply. He becomes, as the source says, the heartbeat of one's being.
Wow. Okay. That definitely sets the stage for digging into self-recognition, Khud Shanashi. So building on that, Professor Akhtar makes this really interesting comparison between a scientist and a Sufi, a mystic.
Yes, how they approach truth. It's quite different.
How so?
Well, for scientists, feelings are irrelevant to facts, right? 2 + 2 is always 4.
Doesn't matter if the scientist is having a bad day.
Exactly. Chemical reactions are constant. But for the Sufi, seeking God, it's described as a sophisticated science of the self.
A science of the self? How does that work?
Here, the experimenter's own state is crucial. Even a tiny bit of personal impurity.
Like what kind of impurity?
Things like pride, jealousy, maybe self-love, even self-pity.
Yeah.
These can actually corrupt the results.
Corrupt the results, meaning distance you from God.
Precisely. It can throw the whole spiritual quest off track. Which, leads to the question, how do you even spot these things in yourself?
That is a challenge. A science where the observer affects the outcome deeply.
Right. And this leads to the core principle for Khud Shanashi done for God's sake. An unsympathetic evaluation of the self.
Unsympathetic evaluation, that sounds tough. What does it mean in practice?
It means looking at yourself really honestly without making excuses. No leniency.
So things like feeling sorry for yourself, feeling like a victim?
Yeah, or feeling overly important, being proud of your good qualities. These are called narcissistic crimes.
Narcissistic crime, strong language, because they block closeness to God.
That's the idea. And it's backed up by that Quranic teaching mentioned. If you fear standing before Allah, then you must oppose your personal desires.
And every passion that takes you away from the right path.
Right. And the source is clear. This takes immense struggle and patience. It's not a quick fix.
No, definitely sounds like a deep, ongoing process. This brings us to the idea of the third self.
Yes, the third self that mystics or God recognizers are said to possess.
So most people feel maybe two selves, like one pulling towards temptation, one towards guidance.
Kind of, yeah. But this third self is described as something more, like an internal observer.
An observer, what does it do?
It allows them to dispassionately evaluate their inner world, to root out that self-sympathy that can mess things up spiritually.
So it helps maintain objectivity about your own feelings, prevents getting lost in emotion.
Exactly. Stops those morbid, sentimental states from taking over. True Khud Shanashi then becomes about constantly choosing good over evil.
While keeping focused on God, even if you slip up.
Right. The focus remains on God, despite mistakes. And this leads to real self-correction.
That connects really nicely to that Quranic verse, "O contented soul, return to your Lord, well-pleased and well-pleasing."
It paints a picture of achieving that state.
So becoming that contented soul is the result of this rigorous self-discipline.
Yes, through that unsympathetic evaluation. Shedding the ego, the pride, the self-importance.
And this also clarifies the intention behind good deeds, doesn't it?
Absolutely. They're not done for praise, not for reward from others.
The source mentions people who are outwardly honest, but still bitter.
Right, because their honesty isn't for God. It's for worldly recognition.
Right.
And they get frustrated when they don't receive it.
That makes sense. And the Quran's view on charity reinforces this.
Definitely. Even small things. A kind word, guiding someone, count as charity.
But the warning is strict. Do not nullify your charities by reminding or showing off.
Exactly. It points to that very human urge for validation, for letting people know about our good deeds.
And that urge itself becomes a barrier.
The source argues it prevents you from reaching higher spiritual stages. It keeps you stuck.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Professor Akhtar talks about a kind of collective psychological inferiority.
Yes, that stark statement. We are a land of inferiority.
What does he mean by that, and how does it impact this journey of self-recognition?
The idea presented is that we're all born with some kind of inferiority complex, to some degree.
Okay.
And instead of dealing with it, balancing it, we often try to overcompensate. We cover it up.
Create illusions of being superior.
Exactly. And that very act of compensating, ironically, gets in the way of true Shanashi.
Can you give an example of how this plays out?
Well, the source points to how some religious figures might claim special powers or insights.
Exploiting blind faith.
Perhaps. Often it suggests this is a way to compensate for their own spiritual gaps.
Yeah.
Using silence or demanding reverence to avoid real scrutiny.
So, if it's not about claims or dramatic displays, what is the sign of Allah's true friends, the Aliyah?
According to the lecture, it's not about the outward show at all. Not claims, not magic, not extreme asceticism like breath-holding.
So what is it then?
Allah's own definition, as presented, is actually quite simple and clear.
What is?
Indeed, the friends of Allah, no fear will there be concerning them, nor will they grieve.
No fear and no grief in this world.
Yes, they are free from fear and frustration, even amidst sorrow. That's highlighted as the only real sign.
Wow. That's a high bar, and reaching it requires going through sorrow.
Yes, traversing those difficult stages of Shanashi, experiencing and understanding every aspect of sorrow, not avoiding it.
That really deepens the meaning. It's not about escaping pain, but transforming your relationship to it.
Precisely.
Now, there's an analogy used about a king and a challenging letter to explain self-purification. How does that work?
Right, the story of the wise king. He knows an invader doesn't just take a city.
He first destroys and humiliates the important people, the nobles.
Exactly. And Shah Abdul Qadir Jilani interprets this spiritually. When God enters the heart.
He first destroys the idols inside.
Yes, the idols of desires, ambitions, all those worldly castles we build in our hearts. He basically takes away their life, their importance.
So the heart has to be cleared out, cleansed, before God can reside there.
That's the image. Only when the heartland is cleansed can he establish his throne.
And this process, this unsympathetic consideration, it's described as extremely painful.
Very much so. And it connects to that idea. We do not keep days uniform for people.
Meaning the ups and downs, the trials, are part of this?
Integral to it, hardship, calamity, suffering, they aren't random. They're part of the cleansing.
There's that intense poetic reflection mentioned.
Oh, yes. Since I said yes to God, armies of sorrow and calamity have besieged the gates of my heart. There has been no moment of peace.
That powerfully conveys the relentlessness of this struggle in true Shanashi.
It really does. And it reframes how we see trials. Like when we say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilahi rajiun.
Indeed, we belong to Allah, and indeed to Him we will return. Usually said when someone passes away.
Right, but Professor Akhtar says it's not just for death. It's for every personal problem, every difficulty, every hatred faced.
As a reminder that it all comes from Allah and goes back to Him.
Exactly. A constant reorientation.
Okay, let's talk about modern psychology. The source acknowledges its advancements, right?
Yes, noting that psychology confirms what the Quran said ages ago. And we have assembled all worlds of self in you.
So psychology maps out these inner worlds, this packet of instincts within us.
It does. But its purpose, according to the lecture, is fundamentally different from spiritual self-recognition.
How so? What's psychology's aim then?
Its goal isn't the search for God. It's more about, well, making people functional in society.
Transforming useless selves into useful ones, uncivilized into civilized.
That's the framing used, helping people fit back into the social structure, perform better in the world.
Okay, critical distinction then. If psychology helps you become, say, more successful worldly speaking, does that help you get closer to God?
Not necessarily. The source is quite blunt here. It says even a highly successful self, maybe a CEO who got there through manipulation, could still be destined for hell in God's eyes.
So worldly success and spiritual success are completely different tracks.
They can be. For true Khud Shanashi aimed at God, the priority has to be crystal clear.
The struggle has to be for God, not for personal gain.
Exactly. Without that intellectual clarity, that clear intention, the whole process becomes deformed, as the source puts it.
Deformed. Okay. This seems to link to the idea of balance. The Prophet's teaching is cited.
Adopt balance. If you cannot, then stay close to it.
And balance here isn't just one fixed point, is it?
No, it's presented more like a range.
Yes.
You step outside that range, you lose balance.
And this balance is a kind of quality of judgment, essential for Khud Shanashi.
Yes, and ignorance is a major obstacle. Things get complicated, the source says, when our basic instincts get tangled up with narcissism.
Creating hidden traps.
Hidden pitfalls, yeah. They can destroy a balanced approach, which is why advanced Khud Shanashi is called a delicate and difficult path of divine judgment.
Delicate and difficult. Okay. Now, what about Allah's interest in people? The source suggests he tests certain people more.
It suggests, perhaps less interest in ordinary foolish people, but tests those who are intelligent or stand out.
With more subtle challenges.
Yes. But the promise is also universal. We will surely test every person, big or small.
With hunger, with their love and hatreds of self.
Right. The advice given is, understand quickly, pass quickly.
But if you resist, complain, look for external help constantly.
You could stay stuck for ages, metaphorically speaking, millennia even.
But for those who do pass the test,
there's good news. The Quranic verse is quoted. Indeed, those who say, our Lord is Allah, and then remain steadfast.
Upon them the angels will descend, saying, do not fear and do not grieve, but receive good tidings of paradise which you were promised.
That state of fearlessness and grieflessness again.
It seems like a recurring theme. But what about when people don't pass? When they face hardship and blame others? Magic. Enemies.
The source says they become strangers in their own universe.
Strangers? How?
By externalizing the cause, they lose faith. They forget Allah's power, His control.
Forgetting that message, whatever good Allah opens for people, none can withhold it. And whatever He withholds, none can release it thereafter.
Exactly. When you blame others, your faith diminishes. And worse, you might not even realize you're losing that connection. A profound spiritual loss.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. So, bringing it all together, what's the main takeaway for someone listening?
I think the core message, repeated forcefully, is about the why. It's not just about recognizing yourself.
It's why you're doing it.
Precisely. The ultimate goal has to be Allah, not yourself, not worldly gain.
So every choice, every inclination
needs to be weighed. Does this distance me from God?
Right.
Reject it. Does it bring me closer? Embrace it.
A constant recalibration towards Him.
That's the essence of it.
Okay, a final thought then, something for you, our listeners, to maybe reflect on. If life is this series of tests designed to help us know God, and our desires, our struggles are all part of that design, then what's happening in your life right now? What challenge, what inner conflict, even something seemingly small, could actually be your next big lesson in Khud Shanashi, your next step towards Khud Shanashi? Something to think about.